We are live here for episode 31 of the Den and Out Blading podcast. And my guest today is Michael French. Michael, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here. It's
Great
been
to be
quite a
here.
long time since we hung out and skated and filmed. How's everything going?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. It hasn't been better. So,
Awesome. Awesome. So if I want to welcome everybody to the live chat right now. We have 14 people in here. That's really cool. Thank you all for coming here. And if you have any questions for Michael throughout the show, make sure and leave those in the live chat. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We just hit 5,000 subscribers today. So that's a cool milestone. Let's get to 10,000. And if you're not a subscriber yet, help me get there. And make sure and like this video if you enjoy it. So anyway, Michael's audio might be a little low. If anybody has trouble hearing Michael, let us know. So I want to get started with like, where have you been? We haven't seen you in skating in a long time. You know, you were
so
big in the 2000 early 2000s, and then in the past couple years you've been back, but
I'll kind of
you
give
were
you the
missing in action
lowdown.
for a long time.
Yeah. In when I moved to Arizona, that's when skating kind of blew up for me, and I was there for 12 years. But the last 3 years I was there, 4 years, maybe almost five, I had sprained my ankle and got blood clots in my left leg. And
Oh wow.
yeah, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. They kept telling me there was nothing wrong with it. There was nothing wrong with it. And I was like, no, there's absolutely something wrong with it. And I went to, I don't know, urgent care and emergency room like 13 times, and then decided to fly to Minnesota because my mom lives right across the street from this clinic I'd been going to forever. So I went and saw my normal doctor from, childhood. And I said, I've got something going on with my left leg. He said, you got to go to Woodwinds for that. And I said, right when I walked in, the only thing they didn't check for was blood clots. And I had asked them, I said, will you take a look at it? Turns out that I had two DVTs, which are deep vein thrombosis in my left leg, right behind my calf, and then one in my like behind my hamstring. And those are super dangerous. But I kind of came back from that, and I kept skating, but kind of took a left turn, getting addicted to pain pills, and that kind of led into other things further down the road. Tried to move away from the Arizona scene because it wasn't the Arizona skate scene necessarily, but I had gotten involved with people that were just not the best for me, and I just had a daughter, so I decided to move to Minnesota to try and raise my daughter. And no matter where you go, there you are. So if you don't fix the issues that are going on internally, um, you're still going to do the same thing in a different place. So that's kind of what happened to me, and moved to Minnesota, tried to pick up the skates again after I got off the pain pills, and it was just injury after injury. And then, yeah, it led to a lot of drinking. And then basically addiction took over my life for a good 8 to 10 years. And then finally, God intervened in the form of DEA or task force. And I was hit with the decision to either get clean or decide to live a life of being in prison and going to jail all the time. And I chose the path of getting help and went to treatment in 2019. I got sober May 31st, 2019, and have been sober ever since. And it's been a big game changer for me. And I saw this meme that was super funny online, and it was like, everybody getting sober in their 30s, picking up where they left off, and it shows some old guy on a skateboard. And it just cracked me up because the very first thing I thought about when I got sober was skating. And then what happened is I ended up we talked about this yesterday, but I blew out a disc in my back, the L5S1, which is kind of like the most average one, I guess, people blow out, and herniated that really bad into both sciatic nerves, and was like, great, I'll never skate again. I had a doctor telling me I'll never skate again. And I've told this to a couple of different people, but if a doctor ever tells you can't skate again, get a different doctor.
Oh,
And
100%.
so I did, and I found a surgeon at the U of M after a close friend of mine named Jessica and John Noring told me about this surgery her husband had, which was a decompression surgery for the herniated disc. And it's a microdiscectomy, and it saved my life. It absolutely saved my life. So I was skating 3.5 weeks later, and the next time I saw the surgeon, I gave him a big hug, and he said, if it's something you love to do it. There's no reason being miserable, and if I can help you, I will. And worst case scenario, it's going to herniate again, and I haven't had that problem yet. I've pretty much damaged everything else on my body since then, but the back is still strong. So, but yeah, just getting back in my skates, and because I'm an addict, and I'll always be an addict. Once I got sober, I decided to start buying things that are outrageous, and I put all my energy into shoes at first, and so I'm just under like 700 pairs of shoes, and then
Wow, 700
yeah,
pairs of shoes.
I know, dude. So just behind me to the right are
Here, let me
my
go ahead and put you back into full screen.
okay.
All right.
So these are just my Air Max 90s, and that's just one kind of shoe, and there's still probably 20 more pairs in my shoe room. And then behind me are my work shoes right here, and then I've got about 40 pairs of skates over in my closet over there in the walkway, and I've got about 13 more pairs of skates coming in the mail. I don't know if anybody's noticed lately, but Blade Trade Outpost I've just been going absolutely ham on, because a lot of people have size 10 and a halves, and they're like, well, barely skated, trying to get rid of these. I'm like, I'll take them. But I just wasn't sure what kind of skates to ride and what would fit my feet perfect. And since there aren't that many skate shops physically, like there was like Revolution Skate back in the day, it's hard to try on a pair of skates and figure out what you.
Oh shoot.
Now I'm kind of the
So,
local
so
skate.
sorry, I just kicked you out of the stream for a second. Welcome back.
No problem.
So I'm going to ask you, you've been skating all these skates now. Like, what's your favorite? Which ones do you like the most?
These ones I have in the back here, the customizable ones from Power Slide. They're the Frankie Morales, the USDs, the very first ones, I think. They're absolutely phenomenal. They fit for my feet. They're perfect. So I ordered 11 pairs, but there's a 2-month waiting time on them, around 2 months, 8 weeks. And I ordered 7 at one time. So I'm still waiting for the 8th and then the other 7 pairs. So
why are you ordering so many skates?
So here's my deal. What happens if they change the skate? Now,
Right.
what am I going to use? So I don't know. I've been in this game long enough that I've seen skate companies come and go, or, their designs come and go. And then back in the day, I used to have to ride a certain skate that was released for a company, Razor Skates, USD. I skated for them for a while. But it always killed me when my favorite skates would go away. So now, because I am financially a lot more well off nowadays, I just like to order as many as I can so that I can continue to ride them in case something happens.
Right.
Worst case scenario, I sell them.
So let me ask you this: you had some hard times. Now you have all these shoes and skates that cost a lot of money. What are you doing for work? What's your occupation?
Well, here's the deal. I've been a salesman since I was a kid. I've always been into selling stuff, and I'm just a big talker, I guess. So anyways, somebody had asked me, what do you want to do for work? I said, I'll take any job. So believe it or not, I was selling trash door to door. This company, Curbside, they were like, yeah, you can just go knock on a door and see what they have for garbage and see if they want to switch. And I did that and was really successful at it, surprisingly enough, but hated it every day. And a guy from my recovery group named Dustin Oldenburg said, hey, you should sell roofs. And I'm like, sell roofs? What are you talking about? I don't know anything about a roof. And he's like, no, when storm damage comes through, or, a storm comes through, it damages the roof and other things. And I've got a couple friends that work for, a couple companies. You could talk to them. I talked to him, and it was absolutely amazing. It was like heaven sent. It was right up my alley. I had to learn a lot. I didn't know anything about a roof. I didn't know anything about a shingle. Now I'm pretty knowledgeable about the whole roofing system.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so
I've seen all the photos of you on roofs.
Yeah.
You do a lot of roof selfies on
Yeah,
different roofs you're on.
Yeah.
So I was always wondering,
the more dangerous, the better.
And you are right that you are a good talker. You definitely are a good guest for that.
Awesome.
So cool, man. That's really cool. That's a cool occupation. I don't think I've ever met anybody who does that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
it's in the state of Minnesota, there's like 11,257 companies that have multiple salesmen that do what I do. So
right.
Do you have hail out where you live?
Not really, no. In Texas, we did.
Yeah, Texas has big hail.
Texas had a lot of hail, but
We
Um,
the adjusters that come out always say, well, it's not Texas hail, and so Texas has some pretty phenomenal, noteworthy hail. So
Benjamin Sanders asks, "Is it all residential roofing or any commercial multifamily?"
yeah, so I mean, I do all sorts of stuff. Most of it's residential, but some of it is like some commercial metal roofing. I would do an apartment complex if there was the need. Really, it doesn't really matter. But don't really get into things like tile roofing or anything like that. We don't have a lot of that in Minnesota. But if I was in Arizona, I'd be doing that.
Cool. Awesome. So we have 30 people watching us now. So that's pretty exciting. We
Really,
do have some
that's
chat
awesome.
in the live stream. Benjamin again, I Boot. I don't know if you follow him on YouTube. He's got a cool
Yeah, yeah,
channel.
yeah. That
He
guy's
says
awesome.
Mike needs a YouTube channel featuring all of his skates. There you go. So Mike, you don't have any work this winter, really, right? So that could be your winter project.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I could definitely do that. I go over all the different skates that I bought and tried, and I can tell you the good things and the bad things about them. I know he does that already, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have Robert Guerrero in the house,
No
JSF.
way.
Robert, welcome to the show. Always good to see you in the live stream. Everyone else that's regulars, really good to see you here as well. We're going to answer questions from guests throughout this show. So if you do have questions, you can go ahead and post those in the live chat. I'm going to get into your origin story now. So you're from Minnesota originally.
Yeah.
That's where that's where you're born, right? Or
No,
you
wow.
no
Washington State.
Washington State. So when did you end up in Minnesota?
So my mom met my stepdad, who was kind of a baseball guy. He was into baseball. We first moved to Wichita from Washington State. He was working with the Wichita Wranglers, and then he got a job opportunity with Bill Murray um, for the St. Paul Saints. So Marv Goldkling, Mike Veck, Bill Murray all owned a team out here in Minnesota, and they wanted my stepdad to be the general manager. So we moved out when I was 12, and then lived here till I was 18, and then we moved to Arizona.
So before I get into your skating, Bill Murray, I remember you talking about knowing Bill Murray
Yeah,
when you were a kid. What was Bill Murray like? And
you want to hear my Bill Murray story?
yeah, so we're talking Bill Murray, the actor.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
Ghostbusters, Groundhog's Day.
yeah.
So my stepdad was going to have him over when we first had moved into our house in Woodbury. I know that there was the entire office at the St. Paul Saints was pretty stoked about Bill Murray. Nobody was more pumped about Bill Murray than me.
Mm-hmm.
Being a big
Understandable.
Ghostbusters fan, and the movie Scrooge, just all that stuff. This is right around when Groundhog Day came out. I don't know if you
Okay.
remember that.
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Or no, I'm sorry. What about Bob? So,
Okay.
long story short, he was coming out to town, and he was going to come over to our house to eat dinner, and they're a big work party. So all my stepfather's entire work was there. It was a big party, a dinner party. And I had stayed down in the basement for 2 days, drawing a picture of Bill Murray, and I was going to have him sign it. And so I drew this picture from the movie cover of Scrooge, where he's like this, dropping his cigar, and he's kind of scared or whatever. And I thought it looked perfect. I was like, this is it. This is money. I'm gonna have him sign it. It's gonna be worth thousands of dollars. Anyways, Bill Murray's a comedian, and at 11 or 12 years old, I didn't really understand that. He showed up. I let the crowd kind of talk to him, and when it started to kind of die down, there wasn't like roaring laughter or conversation. I kind of snuck upstairs, and the 12-year-old me kind of just worked my way through the crowd, and didn't even introduce myself. Just kind of tugged on his shoulder and was like, "Excuse me, Mr. Murray, will you sign this?" And the whole party got quiet, and everybody turned around and looked, and that's the way it felt. I don't know if that's really what happened, but he looked at it and he goes, "What is this? This shit doesn't look like me." And then everybody started cracking up, and the 11-year-old me was just like, "Oh my god, what an asshole!" And I was about to go downstairs and start crying. He's like, "Hey, kid, I'm just kidding," And I still held a grudge. I don't think I really got rid of the holding grudges till I turned about 30. But he ended up signing it, and then I just was like, "Yeah, I don't mess with that guy. I don't really. That guy's not cool." I was really not his biggest fan anymore. And then we went out to Butte, Montana, and he bought me a big box of donuts and kind of came to the hotel room and was like, "Truce, kid," And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, truce," And I was friends with his kids, Luke and Homer, for a while, which is crazy because Homer looks just like him, and Luke was a little bit younger. But yeah, the Murray family is actually really cool. So
That's really cool. Do you still have that drawing?
no, my mom does.
Okay. Well,
So
it still exists. That's pretty rad.
yeah,
So, all right, now let's get into your skating. Like,
yeah,
how did so? It wasn't just you. You have a twin brother named Derek
identical
French,
twin. Yes, sir.
and yeah, identical. And you were both skated really well. And so, how did you start skating? Who skated first? Did you guys
Well,
start at the same time, or?
that's funny. We started at the exact same time. So there's a picture of us with like these green lightnings on from when we were like 7 years old, but we didn't really do much then. It was just us skating around the block in Washington. But as time went on, we got into sports, and we were jocks. We went to a private school, and our stepdad being a heavily involved in baseball, we were involved in all the sports too. And we would walk from our school bus on the way home. We would walk past this. It was like I don't know. There was always kids skating there, and I was like, a bunch of skater punks. We had tried skateboarding a little bit, but it was kind of we were kind of garbage at it. Riding sideways it wasn't really my thing or my brother's thing. In Oakdale with some really good friends, and anyways, we saw these kids skating, and we had they ding dong ditched us one night, and we weren't having it. My mom. Okay, so my mom has one kid, then she had twins, then she had triplets. So we have an older sister. I have an identical twin brother, and then she got divorced, remarried, she had her tubes tied somewhere in between there, and then had her tubes untied. It's called a tubal ligation reversal, and she had triplets. So these triplets were, just months old at the time, and these neighbor kids ding dong ditched us. I'm sure they were all pumped about, let's go ding dong ditch the jocks, and they were all our same age. And we chased them down, and I think we were in like our boxer shorts. It was right before bedtime. We chased them down, caught a couple of them, and anyways, it was Chris Thormalin, Brent Philippi, Brent Malin, Jason Malin, some really good friends of mine still to this day. And basically we almost beat them up. We didn't, but you got to almost get into a fight to get to know people when you're a kid. And we ended up being really good friends with them. We saw them skating all the time, and we finally just gave in. We're like, hey man, we see you guys jumping off of ramps, grinding rails. Like, come on, man, let us try that. And then they let us borrow a pair of skates each. And me and my brother traded off, and it just kind of lit this torch of competition between me and my twin brother that we always had. I mean, we were constantly battling at everything. And with skating, we just took it to another level, and just constantly competed. I mean, these kids would snowboard in the winter. We would just try and find a place to skate indoors during the winter. And so we kind of got exponentially better, kind of faster than a lot of people would, because of how dedicated we were and how competitive we were. And that's, history ever since. So
What year was this about?
it's a really good question. I was 12 years old. So I'm 39. So that was 27 years ago. I want to say 95. Is that
95.
Right?
So that would have been around the time. So that was still in Washington, right?
No, that was in Minnesota.
That was in Minnesota. So that was the time around the time like Scribe was around, like Steve Thomas and all those guys.
Harvesting the Crust and all
Harvest
that
the
stuff.
Crust, which Harvest the Crust was like the first big rail skating video, and they did a lot of snow skating.
Yep.
Now,
and then I know Hoax was out, and then what was the other one that started with a B? Chris Edwards was all over it. I can't remember
the names of them all, but I know what you're talking about.
We grew up watching, all those guys: the Shane Nelson, John Robinson, Steve Thomas, John Schmidt, Pat Milbury, Jordan O'Brien, rest in peace. And it was absolutely amazing watching those guys, and then bumping into them in person. John Stoll, get out of here.
They were legendary. So did you ever become friends with any of those guys, or were they were older than you?
I still talk to John Stoll every once in a while. I don't really talk to. I don't know what's going on with Steve Thomas. I don't know where he's at these days. I see John Robinson doing the Sunshine distribution, or not distribution, Sunshine something consultants.
Okay.
I see John Schmidt on a lot of blade trade stuff.
John Schmidt, I've talked to a couple times.
Yeah, he's a really good
dude. I talked to Steve Thomas a few years ago, but I haven't really been in touch with most of those guys.
Yeah,
it's really
all
cool
items of mine.
to have that be your local heroes or whatever, because
Yeah, some guys that really helped
Minneapolis
pioneer it.
in the '90s was one of the kind of hubs of skating. You know,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, I don't feel like it's maybe been a hub since then. Like, you moved to
Hey,
Arizona, and
you watch your
that was a
mouth.
hub, right? I mean, there's a lot of skaters in Minneapolis, but if you think of like the
Yeah,
hub, like
yeah,
it was everything came out of Minneapolis back then.
yeah, yeah,
Obviously, you have Farmer, you have lots of good skaters from Minneapolis, but
yeah.
in the '90s,
They all move
especially,
away.
Minneapolis was like the spot. Then Arizona was one, which is where place you lived later. Do you
Yep.
remember the first skates you skated when they gave you some skates to try?
Yeah. So they were called macro blades,
Okay,
and they were garbage. I was like,
yeah,
this sucks. And my buddy had God, what did he have? I think he had a pair of no, see, none of us had actual aggressive skates. They were all like, lightnings or whatever, macro blades. My buddy Chris Thormalin would remember if I could get a hold of him right now. But I can't remember what he had, but I tried macro blades. And then when we went to Washington like a week later to go visit my dad, we talked him into buying us a pair of skates. And the most, cost effective ones were these Rossi's Minneapolises. And man, I'm telling you, that started some stuff for us. We put grind plates on them. We skated them until they shattered, And then I remember I think I got K2 fatties and my brother got K2 backyards. I believe that's how it went. I can't
no, those
really
are both
remember
good
that.
skates. Who was the first one to hit handrail?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I think, man, I can't answer that. I don't know. I remember we had a guy that was standing on. We would hang out with older kids because they could drive us skating, and there was a guy. I cannot remember his name right now for the life of me. It might be Greg Dahlstrom. Tom Dahlstrom's older brother would stand by next to the handrail, and I would skate up, and then I'd grab onto his shoulder and jump up onto the handrail. And then not too long after that, it progressed so fast, my brother's backsliding that same rail, and I was like, okay, that's not fair. My brother didn't really. He didn't ever let me stay in the spotlight too long when we were learning. He was always, as soon as I try. I think I did the first handrail, but he was right there after me doing it without somebody helping him up. So um, looking back at it, it's like I always had to be on the top of my game with my brother because if I didn't, he would catch right back up really fast. So
That's pretty cool. I always find it interesting. You've had several twin brothers in skating throughout the years that are both, where everyone's so good at it.
the
It's
Raiders
pretty mind
twins,
blowing. Razor's twins, the Kelso's aren't really twins, but they're brothers.
they're
Um,
amazing. They're amazing.
William and Julian Isaac were amazing. Rest in peace, Julian. Um, but lots of twins. It's pretty crazy that just seeing all the twins, the Briley twins, in California, they were excellent. Um, but you guys were some of the earlier twins in the sport, so that's pretty rad. Now, are you saying that Derek was better than you at the beginning?
Man, I still to this day will say Derek was better than me. And so his style was phenomenal. Derek's problem was he couldn't skate under pressure very well.
Okay,
So, I mean, he could. When it was just me and him, yeah, that dude tore me to pieces. His style was so amazing, and some of his trick vocab was absolutely phenomenal. Derek would do a trick. I was like, that's how that trick's supposed to be done. Me, I always felt like I had to work at it. I'd always have to
okay,
get my style right. My brother's true spin topside swayals were top of the line, and he would do them on anything. And it's the same thing with this flip we would do, right? It was like I don't know, nobody really does it to this day the kind of way we did it. People out here called it the French flip. It was kind of looked like an egg flip, like it was like a back or 90 backflip 90, but all in one rotation, almost like a flat spin 540, but completely inverted. But my brother would do it over anything. I mean, anything that had a launch going off of it. And what's funny is I got back into skating after I got sober, and he got sober at the same time. And we went to a skate park. We went to Third Layer, and we skated a couple times, and I kept throwing my back out. I couldn't figure it out. It was the early on disc hemorrhaging, but we went to a place called the Overpass, and it's got a 6-foot launch box with like a 20-foot roll in. And my brother French flipped it first try, and it was like I wouldn't do anything besides a 360. And so to me, my brother was always better than me. It was just I think I got more publicity through skating because I traveled more.
Hmm.
I was better in the clutch. I think I knew when to do certain things, and Derek would try some monster stuff that he'd never done, and would pray to God he was going to land it. And at the when it really counted, he didn't. But when it wasn't on camera or something, he would. But he always had the most epic falls.
And you also have been doing some epic falls recently. You just showed me one earlier.
Yeah,
We
that
have a
should be
couple.
icing my hip right now.
We have a couple clips we're going to show you of Michael here shortly. Some falls. Actually, you want to watch the fall right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we got a fall of Michael. I believe this is a clip
Not
from
even
what? This
24
is from
hours ago.
yesterday. 24
Yeah,
hours ago.
not even 24.
Oh, let's get to the beginning. Dude, you totally ate it.
I look like I'm unconscious, but I was just laughing on the ground because I couldn't believe how bad that went. And the
Let's
looks
watch it
on
one
their
more time.
faces, the looks on their faces. This is Falcon Gott and Butch Lehman up here.
Ugh.
And look at the way Falcon jumps back, like, oh
Yeah.
my God. And then he puts his hands by his face, which is like the universal language of, I don't want you to see how absolutely scared I am if you're dead right now.
Right.
But I said, no, I've been taking licks on my chin since as far as I can remember. I was like, I'm going to land it next try. I was like, but my ears are ringing. And then I jumped back in and went and did it, or tried to do it. I tried it like 20 more times, but the final one, I locked on and my feet kicked out and I just hit right where your leg and your hip meet. And that was enough for me.
Yeah,
that was it for the
that
night.
was a rough fall. That was a really rough fall.
I hit my chin on the ramp. So
luckily you didn't split it open.
yeah, I can't believe it.
So we got a couple more questions about your brother. I just want to give a shout out to Dustin Fisher, $1.99 super chat. Congratulations on the 5,000 members on YouTube. So anyone who missed the beginning, we did hit 5,000 subscribers today. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload new videos, when I have live chats. Let's get to 10,000 on here. That would be awesome. And make sure and hit the like button if you enjoy this video. So we have, Tree is in the house, and
Heck
Tree asks about, where was this question? How often would you play skate with your brother?
I mean, every time we skated, we were playing skate. It was just who could do whatever they were going to do first. It wasn't like we play it now where it's like you got to do the same trick. It was just,
right.
I mean, it was absolutely every time. And it's sickening thinking about it now. I miss those days and what I would do to be able to compete to skate with my brother now. I mean, I would pay every dollar I had to be able to skate with my brother again, but his left leg isn't having it. So he shattered his tibia and fibula, and at third layer a month before I blew out my back, and it was absolutely horrendous to watch. His foot turned around the other way and stuff. So he's got a rod going through his.
What was
he's
he
got
doing?
a rod going through his knee. Just an alley fish brain over the hip, and I don't know if when he came down. I feel like when he came down into the transition, it was already broke. But watching the clip, it looks like he caught his toe on the ramp coming in while his body was still turning or something. I couldn't tell you, man.
It was like a freak accident.
Yeah, he said he might have had a stress fracture from work, falling off of something while he was carrying an appliance, and he felt like there was a really deep bruise there. And then skating a couple weeks later, it just snapped in half. But I'm telling you, after you see something like that, you really question putting them back on again. But after taking a year off from having my back blown out, it's really weird, man. It's, you can go from saying I'm never going to skate again, and then a month goes by and you're like, I'm going skating again. And then
I mean, I'm sure everyone in this live chat watching this, I mean, not everyone, but a lot of us have seen people get hurt pretty badly. Or maybe it's just us because we've been around so many like crazy tricks.
Yeah.
But I always feel like the amount of tricks that they've done, the amount of people who get really injured is still like not too bad, comparatively.
Right. I mean, but then you see those accidents that are kind of like, you're like,
there's
wow,
gnarly ones.
Yeah, it's terrible.
There's gnarly ones, but I could, it's just people. It's like you can crossing the road, you get hit by a car.
100%. And that was my mentality after I hurt my back for that year that I was off and I couldn't put rollerblades on. I couldn't even pick up laundry without blowing my back out. It was just the worst pain ever. and I had to do my roofing job all year long like that, and it was terrible. But all I could think about was skating, and I feel so bad for all of us that have been doing this for as long as we have, because once we can't skate anymore, it doesn't stop up here. It does not stop. I mean, we'll be thinking about launching our wheelchairs. We'll be thinking about this, telling people, we wouldn't believe what I would do if I could walk. I'd 360 off that roof. And even with my back problems, I was looking at certain roofs that had certain angles, and
Mm-hmm.
but then when I finally had that surgery, man, I'm telling you, it changed the game. And I don't know, I've just had this need to want to rollerblade at a really solid level, and I think I'm kind of getting there. I'm achieving it. It's just about the best advice I can give any younger kids is to, definitely stretch. That nobody ever told me that when I was younger. They're not like, hey, stretch before you skate. And the older guys wouldn't stretch before they skated. They just slap them on and, blow our minds. But then all of a sudden as time goes on, I realize how important it is to stretch.
Stretching is important.
I got a yoga
Having
mat
a
with me
foam
all the
roller,
time.
getting a foam
Yeah,
roller.
absolutely.
I use a lacrosse ball for my back.
Yeah.
I just put it in a pillowcase, and I go against the wall, and I rub my bad areas, and it works really well. So
That's a good idea.
definitely taking care of your body is very important. Um, Robert Guerrero described your fall as that was WWF style off the top ropes. All right, we got a couple questions for you in the live chat. One of them is, did you ever play the game Aggressive Inline?
Yeah.
So SSJ Metaskates wants to know, when you played Aggressive Inline, who was your character?
Oh, Frankie, hands down.
Frankie, and he played
Absolutely.
Sven. I had never played that game before. I never even saw
Really?
it being played, so I missed out.
Yeah, man, that was a good game.
How often did you play that game?
I didn't play very often. I mean, I've never been into video games. My little brothers out of the triplets are gamers and all that, but I never really could. I have really bad ADHD, so I could never sit down for that long
Okay, that
unless,
makes sense.
I just couldn't do it. And video games were like the longest I would sit down. If I would sit down, that in a movie. But yeah, to this day, I still can't get myself to play video games that long.
And then Dustin wants to know, are you a Bulls fan?
Yeah. I mean, Jordan era Bulls, absolutely. I don't really watch
the best era, right?
but,
I don't actually watch any sports either. I like to play them.
Yeah.
Don't really like to watch them.
Right, me neither.
Okay, so let's go on to moving to Arizona. You and your brother both moved to Phoenix, the Phoenix area.
Yeah.
Who moved first? You moved the same time, and what was the reasoning for moving there?
When I graduated, my mom got me one or two gifts, and one was a one-way plane ticket, and the other one was a suitcase. And she wanted us the hell out. And I love my mom. She's the funniest lady in the world. She's like the most passive-aggressive comedian I've ever met. But so I moved first. My dad actually lived in Phoenix, and I had been communicating with JB Snyder about a place to live potentially out in Arizona. And everybody knew Dustin Latimer lived out there, who was like the absolute Michael Jordan of our sport. And so I was like, hey man, it's warm 365 days a year, and it barely rains after, we're like traumatized in Minnesota by the weather, all constantly trying to kill us, 6 months out of the year. So I thought, what better than to move to a place that's constantly dry and warm, and didn't really think about the summers, 120 degrees for 120 days straight or whatever. But I moved out there first, and then Derek kind of saw what I was doing. I think he moved to Madison, Wisconsin, got into some trouble with some bouncers at a bar, and something happened, and I just wanted to get him out of there. And I offered for him, because I drove my car, I offered to let him use my one-way plane ticket to go from Madison, Wisconsin to move out to Arizona, and he moved in right away. So
Madison's a really cool town.
Yeah, he had too much fun though.
I went out there. John Elliott's little brother was going to school there, so I went with John out there, and we hung out. And I could see how you could get in trouble in Madison.
Yeah,
lots
of concerts, lots of college kids.
Yeah, really cool town though. Lots of cool skate spots.
Yeah.
Did you ever skate out there?
I skated Wisconsin a ton. This whole area of the Midwest is just just there's gems all over the place. And you know, you don't really realize what you have until you move away. And you know, Arizona was really flat, so there wasn't a lot of down rails and things like that. Um, you really kind of miss this kind of geological like landscape, you know, geographical landscape, like a lot of different down rails. I don't know if you've ever been to Duluth, Minnesota,
I have
but
not.
it's where Brad Magnuson is from and Will Fish, a couple of really good friends of mine. But some super steep down rails. I mean, it's just the whole town is on a giant hill or something. I'm not sure, but there's rails everywhere. And Wisconsin, Superior, Wisconsin has some stuff like that. And then there's kind of all over. I mean, out here, there's a lot of, you know, you could just drive down a street and then take a couple of turns and find some stuff you wouldn't find anywhere else. So it's really nice.
Rad. So on the now you're in Arizona with your brother.
Yeah.
You guys are back to skating together.
Yeah.
What was it like going there? It was a lot different from Minnesota. It's super hot, first of all.
Yeah.
It's dry. It's flat. I mean, there's some hills, but it's fairly flat.
Yeah.
Not a lot of trees. What was that like going to a place completely different from where you're from, but that also had like a pretty good skate scene?
Well, I got there in the winter and was like, this is paradise. And then the summer hit and it was like, oh my God. We were renting a place with a pool with JB, Billy Lanham. Um, absolutely amazing times in my life. I might not remember a lot of it, but we had some really good times. We had a pool, so we would sleep all day, and then because it would, you know, be 120 degrees outside, and then once the sun would start, you know, hiding a little bit, you know, towards the sunset, we would be out by the pool and going out and skating the skate parks at night. Oh my God, skating the Arizona skate parks at night was, I mean, it was a way of life, but we'd also skate street, filming Tech 2, filming Quality. Um, yeah, some of the best memories I've ever had filming tricks with all those guys. I mean, the Arizona crew out there, Justin McLeod, JB Snyder, Dan O'Connor, Tyson Witt, Dustin Latimer, Billy Lanham, Brad Magnuson, Andy Mikos, Kevin Noon, James and Gretchen, James Johnson, who's now doing some amazing art, which
Yeah.
my hat's off to that guy. He's doing some amazing stuff. But yeah, skating with all those people in Arizona was a game changer. Aaron Feinberg would come out to visit Dustin and do some absolutely off the wall shit and then take off out of town. I've got some stories about Aaron Feinberg, man. That guy's great.
I'm sure you do. And Arizona at that point, early 2000s was like, I mean, the scene was huge. You had the shop, which really blew up the scene. You had so many people moving there from all over the place. And you had so many skate parks, like you had mentioned, skating at night. We went out there a couple times, skated with you at the parks at night. I just remember it being like 110 at night. I'd never been anyplace. I've never been anywhere before that. That's I'm from Texas, where it's like 110 every day, but not at night. You know, and there it's like 110 at night, and I'm like, why do people live here?
Right?
It's
It was
insane.
insane.
And
Didn't you come out? Didn't you come out and visited our house when we had the pool empty on New Year's? And John Elliott was skating it with us, and we were jumping off of the roof into the pool. Actually, no, we were skating the pool, and then in the summer we were jumping off into the pool, off the roof. But yeah,
I feel like I was there once at the house. Yeah,
I think we were doing keg stands and stuff like that. And then
that's like the normal early 2000s skater hangout.
Yeah, the craziest. I mean, we had it down pat. We had it. I mean, that was our problem, is we could figure out how to party way too well. And I remember we skated the pool, and I remember Dustin put some holes in it with his wheels, and I'll never forget our landlord being like, "How in the hell are there wheel holes in the pool? You guys skated the pool?" It was like, yeah, well, we're getting kicked out and evicted anyway, but it was, typical.
That's
like,
funny.
yeah, just rollerblading dirt bags. We had a good time.
So Manuel Rodriguez has a question for you, and it's
Sure.
a super chat, which is rad. What scene did you enjoy more, Arizona or Minnesota, or the Minneapolis scene?
That's a really good question. I think the Arizona scene was amazing, but I wouldn't have made it to that Arizona scene without growing up in that Minnesota scene that I did, watching Farmer and Jeff Howard come up as kids, and just Mark Shue. I mean, some of the most amazing people skating with the older guys or guys that were older than me, watching the legends. I mean, I have to say Arizona because that's where I truly became like who I was, but like, and I really found myself in skating, but I wouldn't have gotten there without the Minnesota scene.
Right,
So that's a really
right.
good question. I really like the Cali scene though. That was kind of my favorite. We get to go there as a treat to visit. You know, that was
Down
awesome.
to San Diego.
Yeah, man, you guys knew how to do it out there.
And how much more did you progress once you got to Arizona in your
Light
skating?
years, light,
Light years.
absolutely light years. Yeah, it was like night and day. I mean, I could skate really well when I lived in Minnesota, but you know, something snaps in your head and it just starts clicking once you skate with like Dustin Latimer and you see what real professionals do on a daily basis. I mean, I've never met anybody that would set up a camera and film themselves doing a topside mistrial on a drop rail, a square drop rail. I mean, you don't know how like perfectly crazy professionals are until you go to California and watch those guys. Chris Haffey. Here's a funny story about Chris Haffey. When I was young, I went out to skate with the Santee guys. They met up with Chris Haffey. Um, I had to use the toilet. I was like, dude, I got to go to the bathroom. Oh my God, we're skating some place in San Diego. He throws me his car keys and was like, go ahead and go use the bathroom. Who uses their emergency brake when they park, right? So Chris Happy had his emergency brake on, and I drove with it the entire time to go use the crapper and then drove back. And I got back and I was like, your car smells funny. He's like, yeah, I think you drove with my emergency brake on. And I was like, oh man, my bad.
That's
So
hilarious because I always use my emergency brake.
I never do.
um, and Billy Lamnon was someone who came to San Diego with you guys a couple times.
Yeah.
And Manuel, second part of his question is, why was Billy Lamnon so underrated?
Billy Lanham, okay, that's an amazing question. This dude's got the brain busters. So I just got in touch with Billy not that long ago, and he told me to buy these frames. I don't know if you've ever heard of these, but
What
it's
are
this
they?
it's this company right here. I don't know how to say the name. I just spent a bunch of money there. I
Oh,
don't know if you can read
Intent.
that.
Yeah, it's found
Yeah,
in Germany.
dude, these things are awesome. I just got them in the mail like 25 minutes ago, like right before we started this chat. But Billy Lanham. So here's the deal. Billy Lanham never really went out to the large street comps or he just was kind of a dude that would do his own thing. But man, growing up watching that guy skate, I've watched him do some things without a camera around that were almost better than I've seen. I mean, they were right up there with like things seen Dustin do. And Billy Lanham, his style and the skating that he was doing was so ahead of anybody at the time. But Billy was more into cars and like Dustin. I think that's why they got along so well. But Billy he didn't really give a shit about blowing up. Billy would do his own thing. And yeah, I mean, anybody who knew Billy knew that guy was the truth on rollerblades. And yeah, still to this day, I love watching. I saw some clips of him recently at the Iowa skate park. And that's really awesome seeing him skate again. So hopefully I'll
Cool.
be able to get out there once it stops being a frozen tundra
Did
out there and I'll
he?
be able to skate with him.
Is he back to blading, or has he skated the entire time? Do you know?
I don't know. I know that I haven't seen much from him as far as skating goes. I think he took some time off. I think
Hmm.
a lot of us did from that crew. I don't know. When life happens, I think we all got our stuff figured out, but it's kind of bringing us all back to rollerblading again.
No,
So
that's cool. You guys went full circle.
yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Wild childs and then adulting, right? So
This
we've got a
adulting shit sucks.
we've got a yeah, right. We've got a few more questions for you.
Sure.
One of them has been brought up by multiple people, and I
Okay.
know they're waiting to hear this story. And now we can do
Yeah.
this because we're in Arizona.
Yeah.
Room Raiders. You were on Room Raiders. You were on MTV, and I completely remember it happening now after people
Yeah.
asked me to ask you the question, but I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
When we'd love to hear about that. How did it happen? What was experience like?
Okay,
And
so in Arizona, the only way you can live in the summer is by going to pool parties. And we hung out with, it's funny because we hung out with a ton of college kids when we were that age, but didn't go to college. And so we knew about all the pool parties all the time. Another reason for my demise heading down the road of addiction. But when we were young, it was fun. But a buddy of ours was at a pool party and he was drinking a 40 ounce in a pool. And the casting directors came up to him and asked him if he wanted to be on an MTV show. And he said, which one? And they said, we can't tell you which one, but you have to have a room. And so, I mean, us all knowing what that would be. I mean, I think he had a clear idea, but he mentioned that he knew two twin brothers that would probably like to do it. And so Dustin was his name, Dustin Codner. He referred us or them to us, and we got a call, and it was like, hey, we got your number from a friend of yours, said that you guys might be willing to do an MTV show. And I was like, what? Absolutely. And so we, this is around that Revolution Skate time. They had us come out, and they're like, if we like you, we might ask you to come back and do another audition. But we're going to be looking to shoot soon and do some different shows. And then they asked us some questions, and while we were leaving, they said we could give you a call back in the next week or so. We got a call back like 26 minutes later after we left, and they were like, yeah, we would love to have you do a Room Raider show. We're going to have the director call you back in the next week or so. The director called back an hour and a half later and said, how does tomorrow sound? Well, we could start videotaping in the morning. And so we were like, what the hell? We need a little bit of time, and so we spoke with James and Gretchen from Revolution Skate and got some posters put up. It was funny, they wouldn't let Brad be in it. I don't know why they wouldn't let Brad be in it, but they made him lock his dog in his room, and they had these three girls that were ready to go, and it is the fakest thing ever. If anybody that's ever been on MTV, it is the most set up thing from start to finish, and the number one thing they tell you is act surprised. And we filmed for 30 hours in 3 days. It was like 12 hours one day, 12 hours another day, and I think there were 6 hours on the final day. But yeah, some of those morning shots that they show are actually filmed at night, like right when the sun's going down rather than the sun coming up. They tell everybody before they're on their way over to get them. They're like, act surprised. We're going to pretend like we're busting in. They make you reshoot things. I don't know if anybody remembers, but there's a shot where my brother was like, this lady threw a 420 party at her house. And I mean, this is in May that we shot it. And so her house was still dirty from 420. And so her sink stunk so bad. And I was like, oh my God, there's like things moving in here. And when I looked down in the sink, Derek said, smell this. He fired up some of the liquid out of the spoon into my face while I smelled it. And it was absolutely just appalling. And they were like, oh, do that again for the camera for another angle. And I was like, no way, and they made me do it like 3 more times, and I just wanted to kill them. But everything you do, they make you film it 3 times. There's one camera that they'll do it like filming like we are right now. There's one where they do a hand cam and film behind your hand. And then there's another one where they put a camera up in the corner of the room and make you go through and do everything again. So everything you do it about 3 times. Oh shit, did you lose me?
No, you're still there.
Oh, what the hell?
I still
my earpods cut out, or my AirPods cut out. But anyways, so you have to do everything 3 times, and then afterwards they pick somebody for you. So it's all kind of like this producer was like, it'd be really cool as if you could, they'd make me and my brother stand this close to each other and talk. And I'm like, dude, it looks like we're gonna make out. They're like, don't worry, on camera it doesn't look that bad. I'm like, I watch it. I'm like, this is terrible. They're like, so they're like, so this is how you're going to talk. You're going to be like, so Derek, what did you think about this one's room? I'm like, dude, we don't talk like that. We're not going to talk like that. And they're like, but I'd be like, so Derek, what do you think about this? They'd be like, do it again, but more enthusiasm. I'm like, dude, I got a lot of enthusiasm, but I'm not talking like that. I thought the lady was on mushrooms that was talking to us, but it was insane to be like, say something about the grass. I'm like, there is no grass. This is Arizona. It's all rocks. We'll say something about the rocks. And it's like, dude, you got to be kidding me. They're trying to come up with content and trying to, so now I understand that a lot more, but they're like, say something about her turtleneck. It's like, what? So, I mean, they're really reaching for stuff, and they plant stuff in your room, which was terrible. So they borrowed pornography from my roommate, Brad, and put it underneath my bed. And it was like Asian school, but it was just terrible stuff, like sex school stuff. And they're like, they pulled it out from under my bed, and they're like, what's all this? And I was like, that's not mine. But like, it was honestly not mine. And they're like, well, why do you look so embarrassed? It's like, no, it's really not mine. And I was like, I think I know whose it is, but I'm not going to say it. It's just crazy. But
that sounds like, was it worth doing that?
So here's the part that bothers me. So
Uh-huh.
we were doing it because we wanted to get rollerblading kind of on mainstream again, just trying to get it on like a show that a lot of people watch. And those sons of bitches only put in the falls of well, I mean, there were a couple of like landed tricks, but they put more B-roll of like me and my brother playing in a pool or you know, looking back on it, I wouldn't change anything except for maybe them putting a little bit more skating into it. The opening scene is me grinding down a handrail and then like my brother talking and me grinding down a handrail and being like, I'm Mike, you know, it was like introducing me and my twin, and it was just kind of super corny, man. But looking back on it, it was a pretty neat experience. But they called us back a bunch after that. They didn't pay us. They say, "Oh, by the way, we don't pay you to do this show. You know, if you do anything else out for Viacom after this, you can get paid." They called us for next, like immediately after, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll fly you out to LA, and you'll get $100 and get to stay in a hotel room." I was like, "Next, I'm not doing that." And then they called us for exposed to do the you know, like the you wear a wire, I don't know what it was, something lie detector test or something, I don't know, but we just weren't into it after that. It kind of made us look stupid. And back then, now we're talking about rollerblading back when BMAG message board was around. We got demolished on there because of that. And then this is right after my brother's DUI accident. So I mean, we would party all the time. My brother got into a DUI accident, and the MTV Room Raiders thing, coupled with my brother's car accident, they tore us apart. They absolutely tore us apart. So I didn't feel like there was a very we weren't received well in the rollerblading community, but it's funny because people will bring that up quite a bit, and I think it's still a cool memory to be a part of.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone else who was on MTV. You know, on a reality show. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it was neat.
Is that show available to watch? You know, is
I
that
have it
online
on
anywhere?
I have it on YouTube. I could send it to you.
You do have it on YouTube. Yes, send it to me. And I'll post it in the description below after we get
Yes.
done with this live stream. But I'm sure you could just search Michael French on YouTube.
No, so I had it archived because after we did it, this is all we got. So they gave us a beach towel that was like paper thin, almost like a dirty wash rag, and it said Arizona Room Raiders on it. And they gave us a VHS copy of the show. So I was like, "What VHS? You know, this is when DVDs were out." It's like, "Thanks a lot, MTV.
That's
Yeah, yeah. See you
ridiculous.
next time." But I had it archived and put online. But the way the guy uploaded it was really weird. So I have it on my channel, but I haven't used that channel in a really long time. I can still get into it, but I'll
Okay.
send it to you, and then
Yeah,
you do something with
send me
it.
the link
Absolutely.
and I'll go ahead and promote that. Oh, my beanie's not
Cool.
straight. All right, there we go.
But they did have to put it in 3 parts. So I don't know if you can do something with that. It's labeled 1, 2, and 3, but it's actually like the first one is number 2, the second one is number 3, and then you'll figure it out.
I can figure it out. I can figure it
Cool.
out. Let's see. Let me go back through any questions we may have missed. Uh, uh, uh. Dustin Fisher asks where I'm from in Texas, and I'm from Austin, Texas. So that's a quick one to go through. We got someone else who says Billy was amazing. I skated with him in a random half pipe in Iowa in the middle of the night once. So yeah, Billy, that sounds like a fun experience. So Launder had a question earlier, and he's got a question now, but let's get to his first question, which was he was inquiring about the art behind you.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about all the drawings that are behind you or the paintings behind you? It looks like you have quite the collection of art you've been doing.
So this one, well, let's see. This one here is God, the guy from The Shining. Why can't I remember his name? Jack Nicholas
Jack
or
Nicholson?
Nicholson. Yeah, the other
Or
one's a
Jack
golfer.
Nicholas? No, one of
Whatever,
them.
whichever
One of
one.
them.
And then
Which
this
one was
one's
not the
Chris.
golfer?
Yeah, this Chris Farley right here. This is John Julio. This is my latest one with
Yeah,
Arlo
it's
down
sick.
here. This somebody told me that this looks more like Sasha Cohen or whatever, Sasha Baron Cohen. I tried, man. This was Michael Jordan. This is the Richard one I'm working on, and then that's Mac Miller. But the art behind me, this is my little logo thing that I'm doing. It's just fun to do. And so when I went to jail, I just want to talk about this because not every not every lesson you learn is a life sentence. And this is for anybody who's kind of struggling with anything as far as maybe addiction goes or anything like that. I had to realize that my life became unmanageable and had to ask for help. And like I said, a lot of people that ever get arrested or get busted carry resentments towards the people who arrested them or the people who told on them. I got told on by the people I lived with, and I got set up in the state of Wisconsin, which is a no tolerance state. Got caught with a bunch of drugs, and I look at it now as the thing that saved my life. And like I said, God sent me my guardian angels in the form of task force, because when I got arrested, it allowed me to I had a decision to make. It was either I could be a victim that was, this happened to, or this is somebody who this happened for. And me deciding to get sober was the best thing that ever happened to me. And while I was in jail, instead of conversing with the guys like a lot of the people would do and just become a better criminal, I sat in my room and tried to hone my skills in on something. And that was art for me. And I'll tell you just a quick story is when the COs would walk by to do their checks and check on everybody, I would watch them walk by, and I would look at their face, and then I started doing caricatures of them. So I started drawing them, and they'd come by 15 times, and they come by every 20, 30 minutes. So I would draw caricatures, and then when they would walk back by on one of them, I'd slap it against the window and show them what I drew of them. And some of them really loved it. They were really responsive. They're like, wow, that's great. Look at it. Some of them would bring their other guards in and be like, look at he draws, and then some of the other inmates found out about it, and I didn't have a lot of money while I was in there. So I would draw to be able to eat and, be able to get the extras that you can get through commissary. And well, I told myself once I get out, I'm gonna stay sober, and I'm gonna turn this art thing into something. And you can make plans all day, and it's just something that God laughs at because He's got a plan for you. And right now, I do art in my off season, and then I get to deal with this blessing that I have, which is selling roofs for A-team construction during the spring, summer, and fall. Yeah, man, I mean, the art's kind of my favorite thing to do besides skate. And I think this might last longer than skating, just judging by the way my hip is barking at me right now from my falls last night. But yeah, man, that my art is kind of what I love to do. So
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really nice to see that, and I like the Julio one. It looks really
thanks,
rad.
man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What about the Arlo one? You don't like the Arlo one?
I like the
I'm
Arlo
sorry,
one
Arlo.
too, but the
I'm
Arlo,
sorry, man.
the Julio one's bigger. It's easier to see on the small
Yeah,
screen right now.
I'll
Um,
have to reattempt the Arlo
and then
one, get a better picture.
speaking of drugs,
Yeah.
Lander has another question. How do you like your drug receipts merchandise? Did you,
So let me tell you this. For somebody who's been sober for 3.5 years, as of like 2 days ago, anything drug related, I separate myself from, except for that company drug receipts, because they make some pretty sweet clothing. And I always stand behind what Arlo does because he's so creative. I really like what he's done for the sport, but I really like his art. I do 100%. And I think that's funny because as somebody who was a drug dealer for so many years, something he never had is receipts. And so
right.
it's so ironic, drug receipts. And I just think it's super creative, and I really like it. And I really like the quality of the shirts is really nice. I bought some hats. I bought
Mm-hmm.
some sweatshirts. I really like it. And I like supporting anything. If anybody will tell you that was at Blade Cup, man, I spent more money there because I knew I didn't have to pay for shipping. And I bought a couple extra suitcases and paid for it to come back on the plane. I mean, I bought like 100 sets of wheels. I bought an abnormal amount of stuff. And being able to support the skate industry now, instead of being like one of the kids back in the day, oh, I can't wait to go to California and get free stuff from Rat Tail Distribution. Now I can go there and be like, I want to buy it all, so that's cool.
Right. No, that's awesome, dude. That's
Yeah,
really
man.
cool. So thank you, Lander, for that super chat. We got another super chat.
What does that mean, super chat?
It means that they just donate, they raise money or they pay money for questions
Okay,
that
cool.
at the end of the show, it goes towards the channel, or if we can split it or whatever you want to do. So
I don't need any money, man.
whatever,
Like I said, I'll throw
keep
some
the
money
show
in there.
going. Um, so TV production is exhausting. Nothing is real. Lol. Much love. Kenosha is calling. That is from Shawn Michelson.
Hell yeah. I went out and skated with him. My stepdad bought a baseball team in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and they've been trying to get me to go out there all summer. And I was working; I was too busy. I went there right before it got cold, and got to skate a cool park out there with Sean, and plan on going back there quite a bit. Plus, I want to stop out there before I go out to Bitter Cold Showdown. I was thinking about driving out and want to stop in like Illinois and skate some indoor parks. But the problem is when we get to this age, there's not like what happened at Blade Cup. It was like you go to California and you're with somebody like Brad Magnuson that's like, you know what, we're gonna skate this spot and this spot and this spot. And it's like, dude, I want to skate during Blade Cup. Well, day 4, I'm 39 years old and I've got 40 leg cramps, happening like within those 4 days, and from skating so much. But I want to skate on the way to Bitter Cold and then go watch Bitter Cold, because I don't think there's much there that I could do if it's going to be like any of the past ones, watching these people just destroy those parks. But I would really like to be there to watch it. So I plan on coming back out, Sean. So hopefully we'll stop by and see you.
Ah, that's awesome. I hope I can make it to Bitter Cold this year.
Hell yeah.
I didn't make it to the Blading Cup. I did go to the Spring Blading Cup, but I saw you there. It looked like a really good turnout. I know a lot of people got COVID. Did you get sick from Blading Cup?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I know at least 10 people that I know that went there came back with COVID and had it for like 3 weeks.
What?
Yeah, so
I don't drink or do drugs or whatever, but probably from all the joints you guys are sharing.
probably so. One question about your sobriety is Shea Boland has a question.
Absolutely.
How has sobriety impacted your skating?
So Shea Boland is one of my good friends from Arizona from back in the day. Here's a couple of things. So I don't have to deal with a hangover every morning when I'm about to go skate, which is nice. I can kind of listen to my body more and find out what hurts and kind of work on that, rather than just smoking more, drinking more, taking more pain pills to kind of block the pain out. Nowadays I learned to deal with the pain head on. And so I don't know, as far as my skating goes, man, I'm a lot smarter sometimes. I still get competition drunk, where you go to a competition and you fall, and then Tracy White says, "One more time. Hey, Mr. French, you got it in you to do it one more time." And everybody's watching, so you can't say no. And then you try a 540 over a quarter pipe, trying to launch out and hit your toes again and again and again and again, and just look like a fool out there. But then you go to Blade Cup and you're like, hey, I'm going to do it smart this time. I'm not going to destroy myself. And I think it's affected my skating, being able to skate. I don't think I'd be able to skate at my age if I wasn't sober, because if I were smoking weed or something before I went to skate, I'd have one of those dumb mistakes, and it only takes one, to kind of take you out of the game forever. But I think sobriety has helped me enormously in skating and helped me decide kind of what I want out of life, period. So
cool. That's awesome. And let me see. I'm going to get back here. Now we had one more question, which was not a question, but a statement. Dustin says, I feel this so much, Mike. I've never had a drug charge, but I've had my problems sober since 2019. I feel like what happened to me led me to where I am today.
Sober since 2019, attaboy.
So, and that's around the time as you too, right?
May 31st, 2019.
Yeah.
And,
so
I have a something I'm doing with I go to meetings. I go to this place called Will Work for Recovery. I still am pretty active with the treatment facility that I graduated from. But I'm just coming out with something that just says, I clap for clean time. And tell it was Fisher, right? Derek Fisher?
Dustin Fisher.
Or Dustin Fisher. Tell him to get in touch with me, and I'll send him one of my shirts. That way he can have an I clap for clean time shirt. Matter of fact, anybody who wants one.
So I have right here, we have a link to Michael's Instagram. So go ahead and follow Michael on Instagram and shoot him a message about that. And yeah, Michael will be stoked. And it's really cool that everybody's doing cool, good things, being healthy. Right? Absolutely. So Benjamin Sanders asks, what life lessons has skating taught you?
Santiago Espir, I don't know how you say his last name. I can't remember, but he said something to me when I was really young, when I came out to visit Cali for the first time. He said in a really broken English accent, he said, "Don't skate too much." And that's like kind of the opposite of what I preach. Skate as much as possible. I learned that there's something that's really special about skating, and that's the fellowship. There's there's something that about going to a place, conquering your fears, joining friends, and just straight handling business, learning new tricks every day, or just being a part of something bigger, which is, your local skate scene. And as it matures, watching the younger guys that. So Jeff Howard, a long time ago, listen to this. Jeff Howard, we were at the Oval skating, and I was, kind of. I mean, I thought I was a pretty seasoned skater. I was like 3 or 4 years into it. I could do a lot of cool stuff. I was like 16 years old, and Jeff Howard was there, and he must have been, I don't know, 13, 12 or 13. Anyways, looked like a little kid to me. And I was trying to do a fish brain to backside of Real on the flat and down on a box. And Jeff Howard came up and did it. I think he did it both ways, and I wanted to kill him. And I was just like, what a little smartass, And that kid, watching that guy grow into something that's, he's a full grown adult now, but I've watched him throughout the years and just been him and Chris Farmer. I mean, just watching them from where they started to where they are now, watching them mature it's just God magic, man. Watching some of that stuff is just amazing. And being a part of a scene like Minnesota and Arizona, watching Chad Hornish go from, a young kid that would show up and tear it up to a man now doing some really gangster shit, being on the front of the Jones Soda packages. I mean, just watching stuff transpire. I mean, yeah, it makes you feel old, but at the same time, it's cool to be a part of something. So what skating's taught me is, you can be a part of something a lot bigger. No matter skating doesn't discriminate. You can do it or you can't. I mean, you can be out there enjoying it no matter what. And I've seen people from all different ages, all different shapes and sizes, and different shades, all coming together to do something that we all love. And it's great to be a part of it now, almost in my 40s.
That's amazing. That's really cool. Definitely. I mean,
Oh shit! I paused you. You
oh,
still
you
there?
paused? Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me? Hello? Uh-oh. Did we lose Michael? Michael, you can get out and back in.
Dude, my bad.
It's all right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just can't see you.
Hold on. I got to click on the link again.
All right.
I don't know how to use AirPods. I think I just touched it and then hung up on you. Hold on
That's
1 second.
okay.
Somebody teach my old ass how to use
There we
AirPods.
go. I see you again.
Cool.
You're not that old, dude. You're like a young
Come on,
kid
man.
compared to me.
Yeah, but I'm like prehistoric. I don't know. It's all zoomed in. There you go. I don't know if anybody wants to know why I sit in this. It's ever since I broke my back, I went and got a massage chair. So I lean forward on it rather than leaning back with bad
That looks
posture.
really comfortable.
Oh, dude, it helps me out a ton. All the art hours I put in on this thing are
Yeah, I might
insane.
need one of those because I also, I mentioned to you the other day that I also have back problems. So that
telling
seems
you, man.
pretty rad.
So I can lean forward and do all my art and stuff, and it's amazing.
Cool.
that and get an inversion table. I don't know if you have one.
I don't. I've used them before. I don't really like them that much.
What?
A little bit too much. Just like too much blood to my brain. So now going back to Minnesota, where you live now.
Yeah.
And who do you skate with? Are you still skating with anyone from the original skate scene, like the original crew that you skated with back in the day?
I just skated with Kenji and like Michael Narlinghouse, Jeff Howard. I skated with Jared Scott, who's another original guy from Minnesota that's amazing. When you say original, like which ones do you mean?
I mean, like the ones you grew up skating with.
Yeah, like Brad Magnuson. I skated with him just last night. He watched me belly flop, the Hurricane belly flop. I skate with my buddy Will Fish. I skate with Seth Scott Anderson. I'm not sure that the world knows a lot of these guys, but I think they should if they don't. Kenji, amazing dude. I know you know who he is.
He lives in San Diego. When you were in Arizona. He was
Yeah.
with
So,
like
but
Kai Carson Wee and Anders
mhm,
Carlson Wee and all those
yep.
guys. And that was a
But
pretty good crew they had.
yeah, their little skate and fight crew back in the day.
Hmm.
That should have been the name of me and my twin brother's crew because we used to beat the shit out of each other, and all we would do was skate and then fight each other. I don't know if anybody remembers, but a lot of the guys like Matt Jeffries, Mike Franson, Jake Lacroix, Jake Moreau, Billy Lanham, like that crew of all of us back in the day used to be. I wish more of those guys skated or came around more. I saw Mike Franson recently, but just knowing that they're out doing their thing and being adults is it's good news to me, man. So
Hey, real quick, Santiago's in the live chat. You had just
no
mentioned him.
way.
So Santiago Asperua is in the chat. Um,
That's awesome. He told
very
me
cool.
don't skate too much.
Yeah, we just talked about you a little while ago,
Oh yeah.
so I'm not sure if you were here for or not, but awesome to see you in the live chat. And Santiago is usually in the live chat, so that's
That's
always
awesome, man.
rad to have a legend like Santiago
It was
being
really
part of
cool
the
watching
shows.
him. Coming out to San Diego and watching him skate. That was cool.
Uh, so French fights, that would have been some good content.
Yeah, only a couple people got to film it because it got too rowdy. But yeah,
If it
we
was
beat the hell
today,
out.
everybody would be filming it. You
Yeah,
would have made it real. You know.
yeah, they'd have to have their high eight camera out or their digital video camera. It was so funny. I mean, my buddy Mike Franson got me and my brother fighting in a hotel room one time, and I never saw the footage of it. But I mean, that's when we used to drink and stuff as kids, and it was terrible. I mean, we would fight until we almost killed each other. And one time he broke my orbital socket. I still don't have much feeling right here. I mean,
That's
we
pretty rough.
basically, yeah, I mean, we did not take it easy on each other growing up. And now that we're adults, we support each other rather than tearing each other apart.
Well,
But
that's good.
I'm
That's
telling
good.
you, it was
I,
pretty bad.
it would be even worse if you guys still beat each other up.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be free. I think we'd be in prison if we did that. One of us wouldn't be alive.
um, Going back to Arizona, I'd mentioned Revolution Skate Shop with James and Gretchen. Like
Yeah.
Revolution, you skated for Revolution, right? You were in a team,
Yes, I did.
and
Yeah.
obviously you were in Razors too. But like, how did you get sponsored? Who was your first sponsor? Let's start there.
So it was a company called Legacy.
And I remember Legacy.
Yeah, and they had us doing some stuff with Ben Weiss and a couple other guys, John Larson and some other guys. We skate this park called Four Down and Third Layer all the time, and then Scribe. So now I don't know how this all went down, but a long time ago, after Shane Nelson and like Steve Thomas and all that stuff stopped doing Scribe, or it got somebody else took over it. They asked us if we wanted to ride for them, and then before we accepted, people like Jordan O'Brien let us know that like what they were doing was not they were not the company to ride for. The Gomez's, Carlos Gomez, and come on, man, why can't I think of your name? Jorge Gomez told us, yeah, probably don't want to ride for him. Just that there was some bad blood going on. They were running Skeptic magazine. It's hard to remember all this stuff, so bear with me, guys. I don't mean to forget anybody's names. Matt Bandelo, all those guys. They would just. So those were my first sponsors, and then I kind of started getting noticed when I won this competition at Third Layer. And then after that, it was kind of we sent some footage into a couple different places. Then VG10 Dave Payne came out, and I jumped off of a roof into a bank. I got a couple other clips, and then Saltless Water. JB Snyder came out and filmed with us. So Pat Milbury kind of put us under his wing with John Glenn, and then Jordan O'Brien. My hat's always going to be off to that guy. Rest in peace. Bless your soul. And then it just kind of went from there. We started getting kind of invited to different things, and our crew kind of started blowing up. Battle My Crew, we sent some stuff into for Foot Clan is what we called ourselves, and FC. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but I did a fakie three topsoul or alley topsoul on a handrail a long ass time ago, and I think I got a little bit of recognition for some of that stuff. And yeah, I don't know. It just kind of took off from there. I don't know. I think Razors made me flow at first, which kind of got my foot in the door. And then Andy Wagner gave me my first through a party for my 21st birthday party when I turned 19 or something like that. And I have some really good memories about that. Andy Wagner, shout out to Andy Wagner for that. Andy Walton put me in Daily Bread quite a bit, which was awesome. I know Justin Eisinger started really putting me out there a lot. Ryan Schutte took a lot of photos of me, which started getting me places. Jan, I remember being in, what was it, No One's Children, I think it was, with that Faggy 3 Topside Soyal. Every United Front, I think it was. I don't remember, man. I mean, there's so many damn videos.
Your memory is pretty good. Your memory is pretty good for the most part. Somebody was just complimenting on that a second ago. But yeah, you were both in, both those videos you had tricks in. I filmed with you a couple times in Arizona, and then you came down to San Diego quite a bit.
Yeah.
Relatively, and we filmed out there. Definitely got some cool clips.
Hell yeah.
It was good times.
I'm doing some stickers of this little thing over here, kind of like a Jordan symbol, but I'm doing it through CR Vinyl, who's Randy's company. So I don't know if you guys are, let me see if I got a sticker. I put a sticker over here somewhere so I could show it, but yeah, here it is. Boom. So if you guys want to get anything made from anybody, these guys do it awesome. That's why I'm getting my I clap for clean time, heat press vinyl made through. And so I had to give them a quick shameless plug.
Rad. That's totally cool. I was going to ask you about Revolution, but there's another question in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, two questions. One of them, this is what, in your opinion, what is the most whack trick of all time?
Whack, like worst, like bad,
lame,
or
like bad?
Oh, sidewalk, man! I freaking hate those things.
That's a good answer. Because I don't think there's. I mean, that's probably one of the least liked tricks.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it sucks because when you go to do an alley porn star, topside porn star, or a forward porn star, and your foot slips out of the groove, which happens to me constantly, and then everybody hates on you. They're like, "Nice sidewalk," It's like that's why I hate that trick. If that trick wasn't around, people wouldn't really associate.
Right. And then Sean again asks, "So is Santiago the reason influence you do so many top torque soles?"
Absolutely, and Soyals, absolutely, and topside Soyals, because that guy's ninja style was like my favorite to watch. Absolutely.
I mean,
the Senate video.
The clip, the top torque sole I filmed with him in San Diego on that upper L and he 180s out. It was a Daily Bread video, I believe. That's like one of the best. And then he did a Soyal on this ledge in San Diego. I filmed with him. It's so good.
Absolutely one of the best.
Yeah,
absolutely, so hands down, that style, man. And he had so much power in his skating. And unfortunately, I'm a larger dude. I mean, I wish I was 170 pounds still or whatever, but now that I'm a bigger dude with a barrel chest, like I have to like channel my inner Santiago that used that weight to throw around to his advantage and made it look great. Like, I mean, the guy was built like a brick shithouse and he would do some of the dopest stuff you've ever seen. And then you meet him in person and he was shorter. I'm like, man, damn it. I want to be a big clunky skater with size 10.5 feet that unfortunately a lot of skate boots are like 10 to 12 boot. I always felt like I was swimming in clown shoes. Like that's something I want to address while we're here and we're talking. Why do skate companies do that? Put the money in to get a 10 to an 11 boot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like today there's more smaller options.
Yes.
And that's what, and that's one reason why a lot of people stuffed their feet into smaller skates back then, which has negatively affected them. Robert Guerrero can vouch for that. Fitting your being a 10 and squeezing a 9 or something. And John Elliott did that all the time. His feet always hurt.
Your toenails would fall off. You know what I mean? They turn black.
It was like a very common thing.
Not playing that.
And Tree has a question, which is actually where I was going with the Revolution questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which is, you skate for Revolution. James, the owner, was from Alaska, and he used to take the team out to Alaska for like a family trip, right? Which I was always jealous, and there was videos, there was magazines, and one magazine did a thing on it, and Tree was asking about that trip to Alaska for the one video, and the footage in the one video is amazing. Connor filmed that, and but that was not the only time you went. You went a couple times, right, to Alaska,
I
or
went
was it
three
just
years
that
in a
one?
row.
Yes,
Yeah.
3 years
So
in a row. So you got to go every year on those
yeah,
trips, and that's awesome. Let's hear
it was the
about
best time of my
Alaska, the
life.
experience.
Absolutely.
Like,
Let's talk about it. So check this out. James and Gretchen, right? I was living in Arizona and I don't know how they got in contact with me. I can't remember. I mean, I'm sure it was through MySpace. This is that long ago. And he was talking to me about just getting to know me, and asking questions. I had heard about Revolution Skate Shop in Alaska. And it's funny because, I'm not going to tell him, oh, I'm a party animal that drinks constantly and loves to, sell weed on the side and do crazy skate stunts and, you know, um, whatever, so I was kind of like, yeah, it kind of came off as a God-fearing Christian to him. And him and Gretchen both were like, they were going, they were excited to meet me. They said they were going to fly me and Dustin out. So I get to fly with the best rollerblader in the world out to Alaska. Um, just a huge blessing. And so we were filming quality, and I racked my testicles so bad. I was, let's see, what was that trick? My ball went inside my body. I was trying to do, it was a rail that went straight to the right and to the right again called Wood Elementary. And I tried to do backside mistrial, true spin switch kind grind to 360 true spin Mizu. And on the true spin Mizu, my foot missed and I hit only my ball on the handrail in between my body weight. And my ball actually went inside my body. Anyway, terrible story, but 2 days later, it popped out like a chicken egg. And like 3 days later, I'm flying to Alaska. So I tried to break the ice with them. I don't know. I wasn't very good at socially communicating. I was really kind of awkward. My ADHD, I would just do things without thinking. I showed them a picture and they're like, oh, crazy. What is that we're looking at? It's like two colors on my cell phone, those old cell phones with terrible screens on them. You couldn't, terrible cameras, really pixelated. And I was like, yeah, that's what my nuts look like right now. Black and blue. They're like, what? But just broke the ice. And we were really good friends after that because they're like, yeah, no, we totally thought you were this person that was like, really reserved, really quiet. You're the exact opposite. And really outspoken, more of a motor mouth. But anyways, they were really kind to me, and they took me to the most mystical place in the world, which was Alaska, which you fly from Seattle. So you fly to Seattle, then fly from Seattle to Alaska. And the whole time it was cloudy. I remember that, except for when you came through the clouds in Alaska, it was just like the most awe-inspiring. It was just beautiful. They take us to a glacier right away. They bring us out to their crab pots and bring gigantic king crab into this big pot and boil it for you. And they're like, yeah, it's just like kind of like everyday thing. It's like, what? We get to go fishing, which was my favorite thing in the world. And then skating. And I was trying to skate. The first trip wasn't that great at skating because I had a testicular issue. But it was the coolest time ever. Got to go out there and, it was absolutely amazing. And I can't thank James and Gretchen enough for what they did for me back in those days. But the second year was even better. The third year was a little crazy and still awesome. I got to say something. I want to like publicly apologize to James and Gretchen because, back in those days, you don't really appreciate what you have. I remember, during like our drunken stupors, when our dumb days of like running party houses, I was thinking, oh, they should pay for our medical insurance and just dumb stuff. And they were like, what? But you look at that movie like Boogie Nights, right? And you watch like the dude go from like a bright shining star who's just happy to be in the place to thinking he deserves all this stuff. It was weird. Drugs and alcohol kind of clouded my vision to make me realize like what was important and who were important. And looking back at all that stuff, I am so fortunate to be a part of what went down there and being a part of Revolution Skate while it was there in Arizona and while it was going on. They put together some of the best times of my life. And, I can't tell them how much I appreciate that. So they paid for a lot of those trips, a lot of the, we stayed on a cabin on top of a cliff that overlooked the ocean, got to go on charter fishing trips that probably if I went out to Cali or Alaska and tried to set that up myself, it probably cost thousands of dollars. And looking back on that now, I had no idea what I had at the time. You become kind of a prima donna when you're dealing with, kind of a non-mature mind state and a mentality of, maybe I hit my head too much. That's my excuse. Maybe I hit my head too much.
It's possible. No helmets back then. Do you skate with a helmet now?
Never. I had nothing wrong with that. I come from a time where people never wore pads, and I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by wearing shin guards, which is crazy, and wrist guards, which is crazy. But I've got to be able to do art because that's going to surpass and last.
Well,
Skating,
I learned that wearing shin guards is a lot more fun than going to get stitches. Over and over again.
Yeah, especially when you don't have
shin guards all the time.
Absolutely.
And also, I've known a lot of people got pretty bad head injuries in the past few years, so I've been trying to skate in helmets. Now, I remember a story, and I'm not sure if this is if it's something I just like imagined or if I heard this, but I remember somebody saying that one of you French brothers flew back with a salmon on an airplane.
No. So what happened so there were a couple stories that you could be mixing together. I caught a halibut that was like the size of me that James and Gretchen flash froze with a bunch of king crab and sent it out to Arizona, and we threw a bunch of fish fries for like 6 weeks straight every weekend. It filled up my whole freezer. Like another thing they did for me that, looking back on it, I can't thank them enough. I'm sure that wasn't cheap at all. The other thing was I had got drunk one night, and I think I had some pain pills in my bag or something, but they all went out and did something, and I decided I was going to cook some salmon. And we're on this $1 million, cabin inside of it, and I stunk the whole place out trying to cook salmon. I just burnt it to shit, and the whole place reeked like not great salmon. And I felt horrible. I think Justin Eisinger was there that trip, and yeah, man, I'm sure. And my favorite quote from Justin Eisinger in one of those One magazines was, or Daily Bread. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was One magazine. But he said, Mike French asked while staring at the ocean, said something about the elevation, or asked a question about the elevation while we're standing next to the ocean. Like my dumb ass was like, I wonder what elevation this is. It's like, dude, that's sea level. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, oh my God.
That's so amazing. That's amazing. I gotta say one thing about
Arizona, or about one thing about that trip to Alaska. So they all brought, so James and Gretchen brought, I think it was Damien that was going to do that giant rail that was over the ocean. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Jan, but they brought him there.
Remember.
So they brought him there to do a rail that goes over the ocean, and it was like 25 feet high, and the water was like 40 degrees, 50 degrees max, and it was like, I don't know, a good 25 feet deep. But they brought him there to do the drop rail, and I think he was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And I was like, I'll do it if you'll buy me a new pair of skates if I fall in, or give me a new pair of skates. And I landed it first try, and I remember, I can't remember his name, was filming it. Jeremy, I think one of the guys that sent footage filmed for the one video. And then am I right? Was Connor O'Brien there?
Well, Connor made the video, right?
Oh yeah, no, I don't know if he was there to film, but Jeremy, God, am I remembering his name right?
I don't remember who. I mean, I wasn't there, so I don't. Yeah. I kind of remember. I know Damien went. I know you went. I know Gretchen and James went, but
I can't remember who made the video. I know Connor made the video, but I can't remember who was filming. I think his name was Jeremy. But man, my brain. I only get so much data up here. Only so much on this hard drive.
You're doing good, man. You got a good vocabulary. You sound good. I don't think you messed yourself up too bad. Here's a question, a little kind of silly one, but let's do it. Did you ever get attacked by bald eagles on Alaska? I hear they dive bomb people.
No, we got attacked. So check this out. James brought us fishing, me and Damien, to this stream. It's like the salmon swim upstream, to hatch their eggs and do all that stuff. And so the grizzlies come out of nowhere and just, harvest fish. And then, we were fishing in the stream, just snagging coho salmon, just not even, they wouldn't even bite what we had, but we were just hooking them from the top, which is probably illegal. But James was there with us, came up and I remember we were all standing there and we were talking about how beautiful Alaska is. And all of a sudden out of the woods comes a grizzly bear.
Oh
And
my God.
grizzlies, I mean, this thing's only 2 or 3 feet deep. That grizzly could walk right across and maul all of us.
Uh-huh.
My favorite part of this, so you will not believe this, me and Damien are both sitting there. We realize there's a bear. James just walks up and goes like this and just starts making himself bigger to scare the bear. And when he turned around after the bear decided, I'll just, turn around and walk back upstream after getting a drink or whatever. Me and Damien are both under a log up to here and our, up to the water and up to our necks in the water and hiding behind a log. I'm sure James turned around like pussies, but so funny, dude. Yeah, never got attacked by any bald eagles.
I would hide from a grizzly bear.
Absolutely.
Grizzly bears. I live in Vermont. We have lots of black bears. See them.
Yeah.
And they're way smaller, and they're still scary. They're scary enough.
Yeah.
Dude,
the power is crazy.
And onto the bald eagles. I don't know if you saw one, but here in Vermont, we have them everywhere. I've never seen one attack anybody or dive bomb at you.
We have them out here. We have them out here, and we have them in Wisconsin. I returned to the place where I got arrested. I was actually fishing when I got arrested, believe it or not. But I went back there to fish, and just to kind of come full circle with the new life I've established. And right when we took the turn, I was bringing my son there to fish too. Me and my buddy Colton O'Connell took a right down the street, and a giant bald eagle's on top of a deer. So like a baby deer got hit by a car or something, and this bald eagle that's standing about as big as me sitting down with his arms or with his wings spread out about as big as my arms was, taking what he could and taking off. But yeah, if one of those things decided to attack you, I'm sure it would do some damage.
They're definitely, they're predators. We have a lot of big birds around here. I know that the bald eagles have come back pretty strong, so there's a lot. But we have a lot of different. We have like right by me, we have an area with falcons, like a peregrine falcons breed.
Yeah,
and that's a pretty cool spot.
That'd be awesome.
So, all right, let me go through my list. If anyone has any more questions for you, go ahead and post those in the live chat. We're at an hour and a half, and I'm going to cut this at 2 hours. So we got half an hour more of questions and answers with Michael for this show. So get those questions going, and let me see what else we have going on here. What's your favorite trick to do?
Topside Soyal.
Topside Soyal. And we had covered Topside Soyal earlier.
Yeah.
If that's the only trick you could ever do, or if you could only do one, it would be that trick?
Topside Soyal. Yeah, it would, because, if I could do it forwards and backwards, then it's my absolute favorite trick because topside torque soul is my favorite. But my trick used to be I'll eat fish brain until I watched my brother break his leg in half on a fish brain, and it just really messed me up.
That makes sense to not want to do that anymore.
Yeah, no.
And are you a flat or anti-rocker skater?
So I recently started skating flat rocker in the bowl at third layer, and that's awesome. But yeah, my heart's always going to be an anti-rocker skater. So.
And your current setup, I know you had all those skates. You showed us the one behind you. What is the skate you're skating right now at the moment?
That's the skate.
That's the one.
Okay.
I'll
grab them. I'll even grab
bring it up closer.
My strap that I got from Marquee over at 3S's. I don't know if anybody has these skate straps, but they're super dope. But these are my custom-made joints right here. And then I've got about 9 more pairs coming from Power Slide that I ordered.
Sick.
Yeah, man.
That's
and
cool.
Then I've got some other ones that were really dope. Let me grab them real quick. These are kind of my favorite too. These ones served their purpose. I could do this for 3 hours, just go back and forth and show you different skates. Tell you my favorite things about them. So these are pretty dope, but these are the carbons. So I noticed that the carbon frees, I have more flex in. And the carbons, as good as they are, they just don't flex as much.
Which ones are those? Those colors, the color is kind of crazy on those.
Yeah, so I got silver ones. I thought they were gray, but they ended up being silver. I don't want to skate them because I think I'm going to ruin them, but I'll get to them. These ones were carbon frees that they sent me because somebody ordered them and didn't want them. Oh, shit, I lost you. Hold on. So I got these ones for a discount because he's like, hey, you want to buy these? I was like, absolutely. They ended up being my favorite skates.
Yeah,
so
those are cool.
The flexibility in these is phenomenal. I don't know. I didn't know anything about these. I saw Tom Moyes, one of his YouTube videos, and he said something about customizing power slide skates. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I've been looking for those old Frankie Moraleses because, I wasn't really skating around those times. And what's funny is I can't say that I ever quit skating because even in my worst of my drug addiction, I would still once or three times a year or sometimes 10 times a year, I would find a pair of skates and I would go out and I would do a handrail just to make sure I still had it in me, even when I was doing my absolute worst and I lived out on a place that had no concrete. I built a rail that I wedged into the ground and used plywood all around to try and skate up and grind it. And yeah, man, I absolutely skated like shit, but it felt really good to try and skate. But so I can't ever say I quit skating completely. I just quit skating with people, which really is kind of what skating's all about. So, yeah, I would never recommend not skating with people. Not only is it boring and it's dangerous because if you break your neck, nobody's going to be there to call an ambulance. But
that's the problem I have where I live. I'm the only person that skates, so I have to
yeah,
drive
it's
really far. So that's why I don't skate that much
terrible.
because I don't
Right?
want to skate by myself.
I'll fly out and skate with you.
All right, let's do it, dude. Well, you have to wait till the spring because it's about to be
Yeah,
just snow everywhere, and I
true.
don't have an indoor park like you have, unfortunately.
Yeah, damn.
Monstro asks, "Does your kid skate?"
Yeah, he does. I have some power slide skates for him, these little ones with the blue wheels, and he just skated on those for the first time when we went to Arizona. And before that, he had some four-wheel, like almost like roller skates. They have two big back wheels and two small
Okay,
front wheels.
yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, he's just really he's like Bambi on ice. And then
Hmm.
I got him into hockey, and now he's yeah, man, he's learning and he loves it, but he's a jerk. He's a little jerk. I took him to the Arizona skate park and he was like, "No, I'm going into a 10-foot bowl." It's like, no, no, the F you're not. Because your dad said so. I just didn't want to see him get hurt, but yeah, he's pretty sure he could just handle
Sounds
whatever
like your
dad could
brother,
do.
then, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Terrible.
And the question is, I think you mentioned that you do, but do you still skate third layer?
Yeah, that's where I got broke off last night. That's where I did that hurricane belly flop last night.
We'll go. We can show that again in a minute.
Show
Because
the
that was
chicks I
pretty.
land, you asshole.
All right. Well, let's watch. Let's take a quick intermission.
Okay.
Michael sent me a few clips before the show of recent skating, and let's go ahead and check those out, everybody. Add to stream. Here
And
we
they're actually
go.
at third layer. So if you rewind that.
Yeah. All right. So that's your
There we go.
logo.
Yeah.
That was sick.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that was really sick. I like how you got your logo going in there. So,
Yeah, it's just something I've been thinking about.
and then we've got another one that I have up right here. So this is you in the car.
But yeah, if you're going through the snow, heading to third layer.
Let me turn the music down. All right. So third layer's been around for a really long time.
Yeah, so it moved from downtown Lake Street in Minneapolis to a place that's like St. Louis Park, not too far from me. And yeah, man, it's got the giant bowl there, which I really like. The street course could use a little work, but so far so good. I mean, this year I've had fun skating it better than not skating. And then we've got a tiny skate park in we got a place called Skaterapolis. It's not tiny, but it's not as big as third layer, and it's got a really money quarter pipe. It's got some cool stuff. My favorite part, it's got an awesome owner named Mark, who's a really good dude. And if anybody's out here in Minnesota and they haven't been to Skaterapolis, I got to show that guy some love. Or skateboarders, man, get out there and skate. And I'm telling you, man, it used to be a Gap store, but now it's a skate park in the mall, and the guy is super cool. And it's like skating on a bowling alley floor. It's super smooth wood, and you can slide for days. Even when you wipe out, you just slide to a stop. It's nice,
That's really cool.
It is super cool.
Manuel Rodriguez has another question, and that is, what's your favorite skate video of all time?
Oh, that's a good question. So I'm going to say quality only because being a part of making it, and I absolutely loved being a part of that scene at the time. The soundtrack is like the most memorable of any of all time. But like if we're talking about skate videos I wasn't in that were to watch, I'm gonna say like Mind Game where Aaron had the secret section, Brain
Okay,
Fear
yeah.
Gone, or I would say the Senate stand was it Stand
Stand
Fast? Is that what
fast,
it was?
yeah.
Yeah.
Stand
Oh yeah.
fast.
And then if we're talking about old back in the day, I would say Harvesting the Crust
Mm-hmm.
because that's what kind of got me into realizing that like there's this whole other world out there besides baseball, football, basketball. And you can put these things on your feet and go express yourself and do crazy shit and hang out with friends. And
When's the
I don't
last
know.
time you watched Harvest in the Crust?
I don't know. I don't know, but
Because
I'm
I
curious.
watched it because it was my favorite video that I probably watched the most in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I tried to watch it like 5 years ago, and it was like brutally painful to like sit through the whole thing.
I won't do that to myself. I won't do that to
Just
myself.
because skating's because back then it was like
Yeah.
groundbreaking, but like now
Yeah.
it's like
Can't do it.
it's
Yeah,
not.
no.
You
I'm not
know.
gonna do that to myself. I don't know why you would do that to yourself. I know myself. I'd be like, it's garbage. I really watch it. It's like watching like Dare to Air or something. They did some cool shit back then, but Hoax 2, all that kind of stuff. It's weird because like seeing like B Love Harden and like Brian Smith and like just all those people, like the things they say. I watched those movies so many times that's like, where's my Mountain Dew? Things like that like are permanently ingrained in my head. And like actually meeting some of those guys, going out to Blade Cup, running into B Harden, or I mean Michael Palak. Well, I think B Harden was there if I remember right. But I almost 99% sure he was. Who else did I see? What was that guy's name who used to be an announcer for X Games and stuff? That was a huge personality in rollerblading back then.
I can't remember those guys' names.
God damn it! But either way, it was like
Yeah.
running into Steve Thomas and those guys out at a skate event. It was crazy. But man, I'm telling you, skate video as far as skate videos go, Stand Fast. Yeah, I would say Stand Fast, Brain Fear Gone. It was just that. Well, then you got Coop. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, there's a lot of good videos, right?
That's a dumb question. There's so many good ones.
And we got a hypothetical question. If you were stranded on a skate island for the rest of your life and you could only bring one setup, what would that setup be? I want to hear.
Are we talking about what to skate, or skates that I would skate?
The only skate you can only bring one skate with you. I want to know what boot, what frame, and what wheels would it be?
The left one. No, if I could bring, I would bring. Man, I'll tell you what, I'd bring that black pair right there. And
as is, or would you have a different frame? And
well, so Kaiser Slimlines are my favorite frames of all time. I don't know what the hell is with them. They're just really lightweight, super durable.
See, Robert Guerrero and I skated Kaiser Slimlines a couple weeks ago, and we both hated them.
Why?
I don't know. They just felt weird because the groove's so wide on them. Is it the new Kaiser Slimlines?
I love that.
It just felt weird. It felt weird.
Yeah, I guess you got to get used to it. I do a lot of alley-oop topside tricks, and so like with my alley-oop topside acid, it can kind of lock in anywhere, with the acid foot. Topside torque soles or topside soyales, it can kind of lock in anywhere. It's hard to explain, but with those skates, the way that they lean perfectly for topsides with that low cut boot on top, the carbon freeze especially because they have more flexibility. Like I've tried everything. I've tried Icons. I just bought Danny Beers, and I'm so mad because they showed up and they turned yellow, and I was like, oh no, I was hoping they'd be more clear.
Right.
I skated them for a while. I really liked them. Like when I first got sober, and it's just hard finding something that is just right, And I ordered a couple more, the new black and the new gray thems. I ordered both pairs. Dude, I'm an addict. Something comes out and I'm like, dude, I'm getting it. I'm buying it. And I probably spent 30 grand on skates just since February when I had my surgery.
Well, that's why blading's back. It's because of you. Thank you, Michael, for saving rollerblading in 2022.
Yeah, dude.
That's
all
really
my
cool.
Real purchases too.
I talked to last night I had Lawrence Ingram on for a Let's Talk Blading. If you haven't checked out that episode, people watching this, it's pretty good. We talk about lots of tech, nerdy industry, and blade stuff. But one of the conversations we talked about was like his new skate project he's doing, and
I want to see those skates.
It sounds really awesome, and part of it, the same mindset that I have is there's a lot of good. all these skates come out and they have good technology and whatever, but there's not a perfect skate. There's no skate that's like perfect out of the box for me. There's always something wrong. If it's like
Yeah.
some straps fucked up or like they're too tight in the width or the
Yeah.
length or something. Like there's just not the 100% perfect skate. They're almost
Yeah.
perfect, but not fully perfect. So I'm interested to see what this Lawrence skate is going to be like.
Absolutely.
And okay, the announcer Pat Parnell, is that who you're thinking of?
Yes. Yes.
Because we
Pat
got three
Parnell.
Pat Parnells in a row. Manuel, Sean, and Paul
Yeah. Pat
all
Parnell.
knew who you're talking about.
Yeah,
So,
man. It was cool to meet him. It was really cool to meet him.
and that means all three of them have been around since the dawn of rollerblading because that is the Pat Parnell era.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so
And I got to split a hotel room with Chris Edwards. Shout out to Chris Edwards. Cool ass dude. He's been around since the beginning. That was really cool to kick it with him, skate with him.
he's originally from Minnesota too, right?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. But I thought he's a Cali dude. But I've got a painting I'm working on of him too, but I don't want to show it yet because it's still in the beginning phases.
Let me see. Have you done any? Obviously, you're a aggressive skater all your life. Have you tried skating any big wheel skates? Any like?
Yeah, I've got a setup. We do a Friday night skate here, thrown by Mike Lufone, where we go skate around the city. It's like a 10-mile skate. I've
Cool.
only gone a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really not into using skates for recreation because I only do aggressive. I'm not.
You can get aggressive on big wheels.
I know, dude. And the problem is it's like I trying to evolve this mind state I've had for 25 years. It's crazy. It's like it's the pad thing, and it's like, dude, not skating for recreation. I had a blast when I went out with them, but I've got a pair of Sebas with a big wheel setup. I'm not sure. It's got 3 wheels, I think, on the frames. I don't know what they're called, but I don't have a lot of brain power or RAM saved up or megabytes for gigabytes to remember any of the recreational stuff. I'm just kind of getting back into it. But as far as that goes, my body sure could use it for the conditioning.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun to bomb garages and roll banks and roll. I mean, you can do a lot of tricks, rolls and jumps and, and I feel like when you do that, it changes your perspective on aggressive skating.
I believe that. I'm trying to open my horizons to a lot of stuff. So that might be something that I look into a little bit more.
Especially if Mike's doing it, I mean, Mike's a great guy.
Yeah, he is, dude.
Because Mike lived in Texas for a little bit. He went to school in San Marcos, outside Austin.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know him pretty well then, huh?
Well, I was in California during that time, but I do know he was out there.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
And Robert's obviously Chris Edwards is from Escondido, which I should.
Yeah, that's right. Escondido. He even told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think did he live in Minnesota for a while?
No,
I feel like he has some sort of connection to Minnesota, but
I don't know. Maybe he just come here and destroyed.
I know he's living. I know he was living in Pittsburgh. Now he's in Florida.
Yeah, he's in Florida.
And then for skating, when you rode for Razors and you were sponsored, did you do any traveling for skating?
Absolutely. Yeah. So shout out to Mark Vanderbilt, first of all, from 616. That guy took me all around the United States. When I skated for Razors, they would fly me to God, where did I go? I went to Barn Burner. I got to go to Bitter Cold Showdown for the first time, but that was Revolution that sent me there. USD sent me some places. Basically, Razor sent me to California a whole bunch, which was really cool. But I got to go to some competitions, like they sent me to nationals to go represent for them for ASA long time ago. But yeah, they would pay for the hotel room and give me a fresh box of clothes to wear and brand new wheels, brand new skates, So shout out to them for hooking me up for so many years. Same thing with USD, Big Dan, Scott Walker, Matthias. I mean, I don't know how much he knew about me riding for them because I know it was controlled through a lot of American stuff. But Matthias has made amazing skates forever. And I really like USD skates. And that is not an advertisement because nobody's paying me. I spend money on skates to find the best ones. And I'm telling you, hands down, those new powers, well, not new, but these skates right here, do yourself a favor, treat yourself, don't cheat yourself, get yourself 520 euros or whatever it is, and order yourself a pair of these. You get to custom design them. go with the carbon fibers or the carbon fiber ones or the carbon free ones if you need more ankle flexibility. But I'm telling you, that's where it's at. Those skates, I haven't found a better pair yet. I've tried everything. Mesmers. I've tried um, even the God skates. I've tried. Man, I feel like I've tried everything, but I've got a
You should
bunch
be a
more in the works.
salesman for Powerslide.
You hear that? You hear that, Matthias? Hook me up, man. I used to sell for
Yeah.
you for Big Dan. Hit me up,
Yeah.
man.
You definitely a salesman, man.
100%. I can't shake it.
That's awesome. No, there's like, that's what I wish I had a little bit of that in me.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so let me see
It's
here.
made me a lot of money.
I'm sure. $30,000 of skates. Whew. Have you? Oh,
That's just since
you
February.
like carbon? Have you tried factions yet?
I have a pair of those up there too. Now I really like Clark. Don't get me wrong. I love what you're doing. But when I look down at those skates, it makes me feel like I'm wearing ski boots. Same thing with the Sebas. And that really got in my head and kind of messed me up when I was trying to ride them. But I didn't give them a fair enough chance because I don't want to wreck them because of how much they cost me. So
Right.
I feel like because I don't like them, I'm not going to be able to get past that with the way they look. But I know if I gave them a little bit more of a chance, maybe if the sole plate wasn't so wide, I'm not sure, man. But something inside of me said no, and I didn't really like the way they felt. I couldn't bend my legs as much. Maybe that's the carbon in them. But I need to start heat molding stuff, but I'm kind of afraid because I think that devalues the skates a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I've watched videos online all nonstop being like, okay, stick it in a 200 degrees for, this long. And I was going to do that with the icons. I'm going to do that with a couple other skates, but yeah, man, I just have to completely commit to doing that.
Well, you heat mold them. You don't like them. You can always put them on blade trade.
Can you do that heat molded though? I
Oh,
thought people don't buy them.
well, you just gotta say they're heat molded.
All right, I'll disclose it. Full
You gotta
disclosure.
disclose.
Yeah,
As
heat
long as you just
molded.
disclose it,
Yeah, absolutely.
that somebody might not care.
Right.
Luckily, I've never heat molded anything because luckily, out of the box, 95% of skates fit pretty good.
Yeah.
I got that like nice width and length. I guess it works for that.
Perfect
Uh,
feet.
all right, so we are on 9 more minutes
Okay.
on this show. So get your last questions in before we call it a night, and we'll probably get Mike back on here next year sometime in the new
Cool.
year and do some follow ups with how everything's going with him in Minnesota. Um, are you keeping up with modern skating, like modern skaters? Is there anyone you follow? Anyone you
Oh,
like?
absolutely, absolutely. So I'm constantly watching skating. I mean, I eat, sleep, and breathe it now. Even while I'm supposed to be working, I'm watching a ton of skating. I even did that while I was in active addiction. I was watching skating. I just let's see, people I'm watching right now that okay. So I don't know if you guys know who Jae-un is from Korea. He's 17
Yeah.
years old. The guy
Mm-hmm.
is phenomenal. Skating with him in person at Blade Cup, that blew my mind. Watching somebody that was that accurate, that stylish, and just tore that street course up. Um, in my opinion, he was one of the best I've seen. Skating with Randy Juarez was cool, man. I forgot how good that kid is. Skating with Randy Spicer was amazing. I'll never forget how good Randy Spicer is. But watching Eric Shrine tear it up. I love watching older guys. It's kind of like the underdog thing. Like anybody who's had a bad injury and is back into it. I love watching Demetrius skate after not seeing a lot of stuff from him. Hanging out with Richard, watching him skate was amazing. He's a good dude. But yeah, these new up and coming skaters, man, I love watching Julian Cadeau. I think that's how you say his name. But I might not be able to say his name, but I watch his skating constantly.
No, you said his name perfect.
He's got some of the most groundbreaking stuff. What's that other guy's name? Roman Abrat. Watching him skate is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That new kid that he's teaching how to skate, I think, is kind of what I'm gathering from it. I forget his name. But a lot of these skaters, one of those the Korean girls, the younger ones that Kev is actually training, are amazing. I mean,
Yeah, I can't remember their names. There's a lot
uh,
of really good, like 16 to 18-year-old, 15, 16, 18-year-old kids, and some like really young kids, like some 9-year-old
right?
kids,
but we need
Um,
about 20,000 more of them
oh
to
yeah,
get
for
this sport
sure.
going. It sucks that like a majority of the skaters who do it now are between 25 and 45 because that doesn't really produce any longevity with our sport, you know. And I think if everybody goes and gets more people into it, it would just cause a giant, you know, uptick in the amount of people that are skating. And anytime I go to a skate park or anything like that, I try and I went to Kenosha and talked to a skateboarder, and sent him a pair of skates to try. I'm constantly trying to get people into skating.
Yeah.
By getting my son obsessed with it, I think maybe he'll get some classmates into it. You never know. But just talking about it constantly or posting reels, or I'm always just trying to get my sport out there. I don't benefit from it. If anything, it hurts me more than anything, but I love it. And mentally and emotionally, I benefit from it the most. So,
Well, today with social media and reels, especially shorts on YouTube, I mean, it's really like so easy to get skating out there compared to how it
yeah,
was, 20 years ago. I
yeah,
mean, back 20 years ago, you
absolutely.
could see it, you go to the store and you see it in a magazine, which was awesome.
Yeah,
But other than that, you had to dig, find videos or, like now it's just like in your face,
yeah.
like, you know, it gets put in your face without you asking to see it. So, people watch, you see a skating clip on YouTube or something, and they're like, oh, wow, that's cool.
Hey,
Then I, that's
how do you say that guy's name? Is it Diaby? Diab?
Diaby, Diaco.
That dude's dope. Watching that guy skate is amazing. I can't wait to skate with him. If I get a
Yeah,
chance
see
to skate with
what
him,
half the guys you mentioned are from France and they're feet skaters.
yeah,
So
dude,
they're
yeah,
like some of the top like park, and they skate street, but the best park skaters in existence,
yeah. I love
basically.
watching that stuff, man. And I would love to go to France. You know, not just because my last name is French, but I would love to go to France and skate with some of those guys, and skate some of those fees courses. Those are dope. So,
I got one more question for you from Shawn Michelson.
go ahead.
The feast, first of all, the feast course is dope.
Yeah,
So, and the skate park in Montreal, the indoor park reminds me of a feast course skate park.
cool.
So if you ever come up here, well, probably can't go across the border with everything, but one of these days maybe. One of these
I'll have
days
to
maybe,
ask if I'm
or
allowed to go
you could
there.
just take like a canoe across or something, like Brooke
Yeah.
Howard Smith used to do back in the day. Um,
Pay a coyote to get me across the
yeah,
border.
I mean it's the Canadian border; it can't be that hard to cross.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean just go someplace random like Montana or something. Uh, so Shawn Michelson has a question. Mike,
Sure.
you've been going hard as fuck for a dude coming back. What's the goal? You secretly trying to get a pro skate or wheel finally? You trying to win some big contests? Spill the beans. Are we gonna see any sections? Let me add to that.
Yeah, I mean, if I can get in touch with a videographer that would like to, you know, pump out a section for a 40-year-old guy, I think that'd be cool. Guys out here really aren't making videos. My buddy Butch is making one, but he's a full-time school teacher, and you know we don't have very good weather most of the year. In the summer, I mean, I'd have to put together a section with him, but no, there's really no goal, man. This is all for my own mental health, you know. And I asked God, you know, a while ago when I hurt my back that I just not be done with skating yet. And I had this weird feeling that I would have a chance left. I don't know if I'm in some alternate universe or maybe I took a spill down some stairs and this isn't real. But what's crazy is I've got the answer to that prayer, and I've been able to skate since I had that micro discectomy in my back. And I don't plan on I don't plan on anything. I'm not really pumped about trying to get sponsors because I like to be able to change and do anything I want with skates and not be told what to do, when to do it, or have to go have too much pressure on me to win a competition or anything like that. Um, which I don't know if I'd physically be able to with these kids these days. They're doing some crazy shit. But I'll tell you, just to be able to be a part of it is absolutely amazing. And if anything, if I were to get any of that, it would all be just a blessing. And I'm not a guy that would want to have royalties off of any of it. So just throwing that out there. If you make a skate that has my name on it or my likeness, and I could just get some free skates and not have to spend all my money, I can donate more money to Jan Welch's channel.
That would be cool.
Hell yeah, man. And I'd sell the shit out of it.
Definitely need a salesman. I'm like looking at I mean, I do this stuff because let me get my face back in here.
Yeah,
I do the YouTube stuff and all the skating stuff because I love it so much. But
yeah,
it does make money. I was looking at my what I made last month on YouTube was $41. So it's not like you're
Oh,
making money. It's just more like it's always been a passiony type of thing.
absolutely.
Which I feel like it's been like a really long. I've been doing it for a really long time, So it's like I don't want to stop. But we are at It's almost 2 hours. I guess we'll do a last question.
Okay.
And you kind of touched on this, but we'll do it as a closure.
Okay.
What do you love about skating so much that it's been part of your life for so long?
It's overcoming challenges. So, you know, we push the limits of what we think we can do on a damn near daily basis when we're skating. We go to a park and you might have something in your head. We might go to a street spot. Um, that inner child in you that you're like, I'm going to do this when I get there. And then having those physical limitations of what's real and what's not. Um, and it being all mental because you can do anything you put your mind to 100%. I mean, within physical limitations and what's real and what's not. I mean, you can't survive a 40-story drop, but at the same time, thinking you can do something, picturing it in your mind, going to a spot, and that actually coming to fruition, and that feeling of having to fight for that trick to do it is almost not as fun if you get it first try. But that feeling of overcoming something you didn't know if you could do or not is been something that would be hard to shake, and it'll be hard to let go of once I can't do this anymore. But I plan on while I can doing this thing called rollerblading. I'm gonna do it until my legs fall off, like that, or I'm gonna do it until it's physically irresponsible to the point where my family asks me to stop doing it. But when that day comes, I am going to miss it greatly, and I will never stop being online watching it on a daily basis. But I think being a part of the fellowship and also that kind of self development every day is something that I will always miss, and I've always loved. So um, yeah, overcoming challenges that it's basically a mental battle. That's all it is, and I love it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, it's really cool that you're still skating and that you were somebody involved with skating for a long time because you've always been a standout. Nice guy. You've had your hard times, but you're back full force, and it's great to see you skating, doing your art, collecting shoes, and supporting the industry. All very cool. And I want to thank you for being on the show. Uh,
Thank you.
yeah, it was really cool to have you on here, catching up, hearing everything you had to say. Uh, Very well spoken. So it was
Thank you
really
for having me.
cool to hear your stories. And I want to thank everyone who joined us in the live stream. We had between 30 to 40 people consistently the whole time. So that's really
Awesome.
cool watching this for 2 hours. Thank you all so much. If you're watching this later or you're watching it now, make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this. It really helps this channel. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon to be notified anytime I upload new videos. Like I had mentioned at the beginning, I hit 5,000 subscribers today. Let's get to 10,000. So make sure and subscribe to help me out. That would be awesome. And leave any comments you have in the comments area below. So go ahead and stay on the show real quick or on the feed, and I will talk to you right after the show, Michael. And
Awesome.
anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you very
Thank you
soon
guys.
next time here at the Dead and Now Blading podcast. My next guest will be next Monday, and it's going to be Tom Heiser from
Oh
Rollerblade.
hell yeah.
So Tom Heiser is up next, and we should be getting a Richard Johnson podcast sometime here
Hell
soon
yeah.
as well. So lots happening. I'm going to have another Let's Talk Rollerblading with Lawrence Ingram before the end of the year. We did one last night. It's really interesting. It was super awesome. Go ahead and check that out. It's in the channel. So I'm going to roll the credits. Everybody, see you soon.